Alright, this is going to be the second video or audio for atheist arguments. The argument I kind of want to deal with right now that I've seen before on YouTube, made popular by Richard Dawkins, but more specifically, more broadly and generally used by anyone who claims to be atheist, who really hasn't done their homework on philosophy, epistemology, and just really exercising philosophy. This type of argument comes from a group of arguments which fail philosophically, at the root are completely arbitrary or just subjective, and really just strengthen the Christian argument for God to exist and the God of the Bible to exist on a reasonable and logical presupposition. So the argument it goes something like this. The atheist will define atheism as the lack of belief in a God. The reason the atheist finds this so, in their mind, effective is because they can avoid the burden of proof. To say that they lack a belief in something, they hold one less belief in a God than the Christian does. It's somehow, they think that they can avoid the burden of proof. And so some people can trip up on this. Christians can sometimes trip up on this and say, oh, well, if it's a lack of belief, then it's not a belief that there is no God, which is really a play on words. It's a word game, because the Christian could then ask, does God exist? And they're going to either say yes or no. Does he exist or not? And the atheist obviously is going to say no. So for the Christian, this is a very easy quote-unquote argument. It's not even an argument. It's just a huge contradicting string of words in an attempt to argue atheism as being a truth claim, as being objectively true, that there is no God by their lack of a belief in God. So it's kind of, there's many ways to take it, and this is one road to take. If the atheist can freely define atheism as the lack of a belief in a God, one, that doesn't necessitate that God does not exist. It's just a lack of belief. It does not make it true. And two, the Christian could just as equally say, well, Christianity is a lack of a belief that God does not exist. And so they're both beliefs. They're both claims to know the truth. For the Christian, the easy way to get around this and to show the atheist that they cannot escape the burden of proof is to ask them, does God exist? And they're going to have to say either yes or no. If they keep repeating, well, I have a lack of belief in God, so you kind of get, what I'm saying, they need to say it so they can see their own contradiction, that they're claiming a belief. Their belief is that God does not exist. They try to escape the burden of proof by saying, I lack a belief in God. But when you ask them and you're direct with them and you ask, does God exist or not? And they say no, therefore the burden of proof is on them, which then they're going to go to many different things. They can go to scientific evidence, which is completely contradicting because God does not exist in the universe. He exists outside the universe. I'd much rather take the presuppositional approach. So, in conclusion, I'm going to end the video with this, in the audio with this. You cannot define atheism as a lack of a belief in a God, because that is a truth claim. If you are an atheist, what you're saying as an atheist is that God does not exist, else you're agnostic, or it's just arbitrary. You lack a belief in God. Well, why? Why do you lack a belief in God? There's a reason, unless it's just you just picked it for no reason at all. There's a reason. You're claiming truth somewhere, whether you define it as a lack of belief or what. Your belief is that you have a lack of a belief. And so it's just really silly for the atheist to think he can avoid the burden of proof and try to put it all on the theist, or specifically the Bible-believing Christian, which then gets to your presuppositions. So if I ask the atheists to restrain yourself when you're attempting to comment on this video. Don't go to, oh, well, the Bible says this about slavery and about the genocide in the Bible, and all this other stuff. Stay on topic. You make yourself look unacademic when you build straw men, or not even straw men, just you reply to a video and your reply has nothing to do with the video. It's just you have no other way to answer the video, and so you change subjects and kind of like a red herring. So anyways, if you're going to comment, please stay on topic and be ethical. And when I say ethical, because the atheist has no standard for morality, I mean by the Bible, be ethical, treat others with respect, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And don't leave comments about that. If you're going to leave a comment, be sure to leave a comment on the atheist's definition of what atheism is, and you're going to have to give some proof, because the burden of proof is on you. You're going to have to answer why God does not exist. Why do you think God does not exist? So I hope this has edified the Christians, and thank you for listening.